Hey, good morning, family. Thank you for being here. Let's get the show started very, very quickly, shall we? 513-873-7134. It is an absolutely beautiful day. As always, my pleasure to be with you. But I just want to give you a moment to like and in particular share today's show. I'll say it again, family. You know, when you share the show, more people see it on Facebook. It's just real simple. When you share the show, more people see it. So please take a second to share this show if you like this type of content. You might not like this kind of content. You might not like unfiltered black thoughts. You might not like the fact that we keep it real about whatever is going on as it relates to our community and also the great issues of the day. On today's show, I want to talk about numerous things, but at the top of that list, I want to talk about an interview that happened last night on the Roland Martin Unfiltered show. I thought it was an excellent, very, very timely conversation. Roland Martin got a chance to speak with Ice Cube. Everyone's been talking about Ice Cube. Roland spoke with him. And in that conversation, I believe that Ice Cube was exposed by Roland Martin. Now, I don't think that Roland Martin kind of brought that attitude to the game. I don't think he was intentionally trying to expose the brother. But that's exactly what happened. Ice Cube got exposed last night. And listen, you know, our culture may not like it when a black man speaks his mind, but I got to keep it real with you, okay? I told you yesterday. It was almost as if Roland watched the show. I know that's not what happened, but it was almost as if he watched the show, and a lot of things I said, you could tell he put in place in his show. Some of the initiatives that I mentioned yesterday, he actually brought one of the founders on his show last night. They had a face-to-face conversation with Ice Cube. Now, let me say this up front because I know how my people are. I know how we's be. And I know that some folks out there will be like, oh, you're trying to shut down another black man. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'll say it again. If you for black people, I'm for you, period. But I think there's a certain order to things. I think it's not what you do, but how it's done. That's what I think. All right. Nas said, the great poet Nas once said that. It's never what you do, but how it's done. There's nothing new under the sun. All right. So Ice Cube's efforts to try to creating a black agenda, and he wants to push for equity policy intangibles. I'm for that life. I'm here for that. But you can't overlook you can't hit the scene Johnny come lately like, oh, no one's been out here and you're ignorant of what people have been doing. It makes you look bad. I thought that Ice Cube looked bad last night. I don't think he was ready for that conversation. And Roland, being an expert journalist that he is, he's a pioneer in my opinion. I think he carefully peeled back the onion and exposed the weaknesses in what Ice Cube had to say. And again, I'm not here to down this brother. I know that some people took exception to me referring to him or making this analogy between him and being a monkey dancing on the street for the Trump campaign circus. I'll say it. I stand by what I said. And in that interview last night, matter of fact, it's early on in the interview last night, Ice Cube admits that he was exploited by the Trump administration, the Trump campaign. Like Trump might be, he might come across as not being super sharp, but the people around him, man, those folks have been working in politics for years. They know what they're doing. And when they saw an opportunity for Ice Cube to step up and they can align themselves with Ice Cube, they ran with it. Before we get started, folks, please take a second and like and in particular share today's show. Please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. It means everything. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a little break myself. Just a couple seconds here to make sure that we share the show wherever people might be, wherever you think it might be useful, wherever you think people might like this kind of content. Please take a second to like and share it. And of course, there's a few groups that you're probably a part of. It doesn't matter. We can both share to the same groups. I don't care if 10 people share. In fact, I would love for that to happen. That would be great. Please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. Your shares mean everything. They mean everything this morning. Yeah, I know my lighting's a little bit off. I got to turn that light on. I'll do it at some point during the show. But early on in the conversation, Ice Cube admits that, it was exploited. He says it was exploited, trying to disconnect himself from the plan. You're damn right it was exploited. Like I told you yesterday, what did we and what did Ice Cube, what did black voters get out of this big announcement yesterday that the Trump administration was working with Ice Cube? Zero, nada, nothing, not a damn thing. What did the Trump administration get out of it? Well, here we are 18 days before the election. To them, that's tens of millions of dollars of free advertising that in particular they can use on black people to convince black people to either vote for Trump or to not vote at all, which helps Trump. You got to see it for what it really is. And to me, I'll reiterate what I said yesterday, because yesterday we got into a whole conversation where Earl, with the brother, is it Earl Price, the brother who, shot a commercial or was a part of this negative ad campaign with Charmaine McGuffey. And yes, I do know that the Inquirer, shout out to the Inquirer, did a debate yesterday with the Hamilton County Sheriffs. I've only seen maybe like 5 or 10 minutes of it, so I don't really have any strong comments. If something happened that you think is newsworthy, please bring it to the front of the class. Please share. Love to hear it. Yeah, but I got to give you some thoughts on Earl Price yesterday. I mean, that brother, Earl, if you're listening, we'll get to that. We'll get to all of that. Okay. But back to Ice Cube last night on Roland. I got the clips for you. I show you. You'll hear for yourself. Ice Cube clearly admits that it was exploited, trying to disconnect himself from the plan and him. No, Ice Cube, you got exploited by the Trump campaign. 3 weeks before the election, anything that the campaigns are doing at this point, 3 weeks before the election, is all about the re-election effort. It ain't about nothing more substantive than that, nothing more of substance than that. And so you want to give the Trump administration a gift to influence black voters 3 weeks before the election, bruh. Save all of that until after the election. And I say that because he didn't get any equity policy or tangibles. All he did was give the Trump administration a convenient media opportunity, right? That really, man, that's invaluable. And so now you got people running around saying Ice Cube endorsed Trump. And Ice Cube was like, no, I didn't endorse Trump. And that's the reason why I say that the timing was off on all of this. Okay, it was real interesting, man. It really was. I mean, and again, that Ice Cube is by most people, because I judge success differently. I judge success by the way my family is living, the way my mother was living. I judge success by what I can do for other people, not by me in particular, but by, society's standards of success. Ice Cube was way more successful than me. He got way more money than me. He got way more, right? But I'm here to tell you, as I watched that video last night, man, that brother needs to go get caught up on what's going on. Go get caught up on what's going on, then come back. then come back to us. And I told you this yesterday, and I'm not the kind of black man to not tell you I told you so. He reduced himself to a campaign prop, a positive media opportunity for the Trump campaign. The same campaign that he was like, arrest the president, arrest the president. This Nigwa is Russian intelligence just 2 years ago. Now you giving them tens of millions of dollars of free campaign ads, free media press 3 weeks before the election? Come on, man. Please stop. Let me scoot up here. Please stop. Knock it off, Ice Cube. It's a great idea. He should be a part of the conversation. There's a place for everybody in the conversation as we fight for equity, policy, intangibles. But, I mean, how you just going to step over people that's actually put real grassroots work into it for years and years and years because you're just completely ignorant? Like, they got to call you. Come on, bro. Where they do that at? It's so many levels it didn't make any sense. But let me make sure that I'm very clear, because a lot of people like to twist your words. They want your words to be what they thinking and all this kind of stuff. I'm telling you, this is how I feel about it. There's plenty of room for people in the fight for black people's liberation. That's equity, policy, intangibles. Plenty of folks. But you can't overlook the folks that's already been out there. That's number one. And number two, you got to be smart about it. That move was not smart. Roland Martin asked him, Roland was like I said, off the jump within like the first 5-6 minutes of the interview, Roland got Ice Cube to admit that it was exploited, is what Ice Cube said. No, you were exploited 3 weeks before the election, man. And you didn't get no equity, policy, intangibles. You got exploited as a novice in this political game. Like I said, these people are not dumb working for Trump. These people are not dumb. They're not slow. They see an opportunity, know what it is. And then, again, I don't want to be in a position where I'm defending the Democrat Party. But it might come off like that this morning, but I'm not. I'm just setting the record straight because I don't want to see my people go down the wrong path mentally, okay? The most revolutionary thing that we should be thinking and the way we should be looking at it right now is holding both parties responsible, Democrats and Republicans. I've seen these memes. There's one out there that's real popular right now where you see like this SUV and like some woman, a black woman, has been thrown out the car, fell out the car. And then it reads next to the SUV, Democrat Party. And then next to the black person, it reads black people after the election. People love that. It might be a Russian plot. Because what would be really on point, the realest part about that, would be if it read Democrats and Republicans. They both use us and then discard us after the elections. Not just one party. I'm watching this interview last night with Ice Cube. Man, I'll be honest with you. I was like, somebody needs to talk to this brother. It was just a lot of stuff he was just clueless about. And then when Roland challenged him last night, well, I'm looking at the plan here, right? I'm looking at the contract for Black America. And I told people before, and people didn't understand what I was saying. I read through the plans. I ain't endorsing nobody. But real talk, the Joe Biden plan, I don't like the name either, was far more comprehensive than either one of those plans. The Trump Platinum plan is just a one-page sort of bullet points. One page, right? And people don't like to hear that because they on some blackity black stuff, and so am I as well, but I can't stop thinking. Just because it might make some people feel good, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're just going to have to be uncomfortable when I give you this gospel, okay? Just be uncomfortable. It is what it is, but I'm never going to lie to you and keep it real with you 100% from my perspective. So it was just interesting last night that Ice Cube was getting it. I could tell that those blows, and it wasn't even blows. Like Roland wasn't even coming for him. He was just trying to spit facts. And at some point, I got the feeling that Ice Cube wanted to talk over Roland. He wanted to try to get ahead of explaining, well, they both doing this. What about the Democrats? I'm like, huh? This ain't about the Democrats. This ain't about the Republicans. It's about us. We shouldn't be favoring either party unless they delivering equity, policy, and intangibles for us, period. I thought it was real interesting. Did you get a chance to see that Roland Martin interview? If so, I want to get your thoughts. If not, I got some audio clips for you because I want to get into it. I want to get into it this morning. And in particular, I want to hear your thoughts about it. That's what really matters to me most. I thought it was quite interesting. And all I can say is the brother needs to do some work. It's clear to me that Ice Cube needs to do some more homework. He talked to Alicia Garza, who's the founder of Black Futures Lab. I've been telling you about their work since 2019 when they put out their Black census. I've been talking about it on this show, elevating and talking about the work that they've been doing. It ain't new to me. That's not the first time I heard about it. I've been well aware of it because this is what I do. You know what I'm saying? I don't speak unintelligently about things that I think, unless I'm telling you it's just a straight up opinion. I tell you what I know, what's really going on out here. And they had a face-to-face conversation. Ice Cube never talked to her. And does Ice Cube have to talk to her? No, but you can't be ignorant of, you can't be out here like, well, I ain't never heard of no plan since the Black Panther Party. If you're not willing to do research, about what it is you claim you care about, I don't want to hear nothing from you. If you can't do research about whatever it is you love, if you into Black agendas, you should be researching what's going on and not operating in a vacuum, being ignorant because you ain't heard it. Hey, caller, hold on for me, and I'll bring you on just in a second. I'm setting the table for the show here. I want people to understand how I feel about this, and I want to set the table properly. It was quite interesting. Like I said, last night, Roland Martin exposed Ice Cube, and I don't even think he was trying to. At some point in the interview, Ice Cube was like side by side, like, okay, so what exactly did you help him on? So what parts of the Contract of Black America are they in the platinum plan? Ice Cube's like, I'm thinking, brother, this should be easy. I'm not exaggerating. You think I'm exaggerating? He was like, searching. You can see he got on the computer. How do you not know this? Do you understand? You just gave this man millions of dollars in free media coverage, and you can't even tell us what part of your plan they adopted in their plan. You can't even tell us that. It should be off the dome. He ended up mentioning something. Roland read him down like, let me school you here, brother. In fact, this is what just ran him down the line. That was like, now, I know y'all love O'Shea. I grew up in the NW era. I love me some NWA. I think as an entrepreneur, he is fantastic. But as we learned with Michael Jordan, just because you're good in one thing, don't mean you're going to be good in everything. Just because you make incredible music and you're a fantastic entrepreneur, and I'm not saying this politics are wrong, does not mean you're ready to step into the political arena with the Trump campaign 3 weeks before an election. It don't mean that. It don't mean that. Everybody thought Michael Jordan was going to be the best baseball player ever because baseball's less athletic than basketball. He got out there and was a complete not Harlem Globetrotter. What was the Washington Generals out there? He was like the baseball version of the Washington General, running into the outfield and couldn't catch a ball. Stay in your lane until you learn how to do better. It was quite interesting last night. And again, from what I was getting, Roland wasn't even trying to be super like that. I would have been a little harder. But, Roland's trying to keep a good relationship, so Ice Cube comes on the show. I get it. But it was quite interesting. It was eye-opening. It is worth your time to go check that out. It is worth your time. You don't just, come on, yo. And again, these politicians love to work with celebrities because they don't know nothing. And they got big platforms. They'd much rather work with a celebrity than somebody that lives in that city that's been doing the work on the grassroots level because it benefits them. It benefits them. Hold on one second, family. I got to take care of something real quick. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back real quick. Sorry about that. Had to take care of something. Yeah, so I'm not down on the brother, man. I wouldn't down anybody that's out here trying to do something positive, but I can't lie to you about what I've seen. And last night, it was a complete disaster. I didn't feel bad for Ice Cube because he's a grown-ass man. You get what you get. It is what it is. But there's a lot of people out there need to hear this gospel this morning so they know what really is going on. It was amazing to me. Roland asked the man, like, okay, so what parts of your plan did they adopt in their plan? And literally, he was like, blah, 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 start getting on the computer. I'm like, that should be an easy one, bro. That should be an easy one. And what are we talking about here? We're literally talking about the Trump administration called up Ice Cube and said, hey, we'd like to talk. So they talked. He didn't talk with Trump. He talked with some of Trump's people. They said, hey, we like some of your bullet points. And they cut and pasted, allegedly, some bullet points from one document to another document. And we supposed to be happy about that? We're supposed to be happy about that. That's some kind of progress. We moving forward. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? Please stop. That's not progress. That's egotism. You know, that's like, well, I will talk to the Democrats. At some point, you could tell that Ice Cube, it was hitting him like, damn, Roland's making some good points. So Ice Cube does what too many fake revolutionary-minded black people think they're doing, and that start criticizing the Democrat Party. Well, what's the Democrats been doing? That's what passes as black revolutionary thinking these days. That don't make you revolutionary. You sound dumb as hell. Revolutionary is we start our own. It's the Democrats and the Republicans that we got to push upon, that we got to fight against. That ain't revolutionary. Get off the plantation. Man, please stop that. This is 2020. We smart black people. We ain't rolling for that. Ice Cube at some points like, well, the Democrats would have exploited it too. Well, that's not true. That's not true. And again, I'm not trying to shield for anybody because I'll keep it real with you about the Democrats and Republicans. Okay? They are both to blame for the plight of our communities, period, across the board. But that ain't true because you reached out to the Joe Biden campaign and they said, you know what? We have a political campaign going on. I can take a little bit more. Yeah, I know. Thank you. No, I'm good. Thank you. So that's not true. By his own admission, think about this, family. Think about it logically. Ice Cube said that he reached out to the Biden campaign. And the Biden campaign told him, we are in the middle of a political campaign. Let's talk about it afterward. Now, some people have processed that as, oh, them Democrats at it again. They don't want to work with us. They're going to deny the black man. But I mean, the other way of looking at it is perhaps they said, you know what, we really want to give this the type of focus and time and energy that it deserves. And rather than just trot something out and try to exploit you 3 weeks before the election, which would be wrong, we want to give it the proper focus that it deserves. That's one way of looking at it. I'm just saying. That's another way of looking at it. I don't know if that's what their thinking was. I'm not a fly on the wall. All I'm saying is that one party exploited Ice Cube. The other party said, let's do it after the election. Take that for whatever you want it to be. I ain't trying to endorse no party or whatever. I think when it comes to black people's, fight, push for equity policy and intangibles, we got problems with both the major parties. We need our own. That's the reality of it. But we got to look at this logically. That didn't make no damn sense. It didn't make no sense. Tell me you saw that. Am I alone in this? Am I alone? Did you see it? If so, what was your opinion of it? I'd love to hear it. 513-873-7134. We do have an early call here. Again, family, please take a second to like and share today's show. When you share the show, more people see it. My mission is simple: amplify black voices in Cincinnati and beyond. And you can be a part of that. Let's go straight to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection, up bright and early out here on the left coast. Yours truly, the one and only, the most hated man in the chop shop, Drop Squad 52. Mr. Ivey.
You're not the most hated man.
Man, thank you, sir. Mr. Ivey, your monologue, I had to get in. I waited on hold, Mr. Ivey. And you know I'm paying for this call. And you know I don't wait on hold.
I'll keep that
in
mind. Sorry about that. I'll keep that in mind in the future.
Oh, no, Mr. Ivey, I get it. I know, I keep telling you, Mr. Ivey, I know radio. I've been doing this for a long time. But, Mr. Ivey, I had to be the first call. So I said, I'm going to get in early during the monologue because you were on a flow. And even your better half, she interrupted your flow, but you jumped right back on it. Now, Mr. Ivey, the topic at hand, the Ice Cube interview last night on Roland Martin. I saw it, Mr. Ivey. I was actually watching it before I turned your show on this morning. Now, I only got through halfway, but I don't even need to see all of it. But I'm going to base that first half that I saw was pretty much what you've been talking about. Now, Mr. Ivey, like you said, Roland Martin is a professional journalist. He could have shredded Ice Cube if he wanted to, but he didn't, because Roland Martin brought Ice Cube on to prove a point. And that point is that if you black and you not Democrat, you better fall back. Because if you try to get some relief from the Republicans while the Democrats are out of power, if you even attempt to try to get some leverage with the Republican Party, who has traditionally not needed the black vote, Roland Martin exposed the black divide in 2020. And that is what I have been saying for years since I've been on your show, Mr. Ivey, that there is a black divide in the community, and that 5 to 8% of black former Democrats who leave the party and consider or even just listen to the Republican. I see you laughing. I'm watching you on YouTube. I see you laughing. But now again, Mr. Ivey, two people can look at the same thing and get a different opinion. You know that, okay? So there were a whole lot of black people that were watching that Roland Martin show that saw it the way I saw it. Now, real quick, okay, now let's get to the substance of what they were talking about. Mr. Ivey, the Platinum Plan and the contract with Black America are two different documents, okay? And Ice Cube was trying to prove, he was trying to point out that this was not them trying to take his plan and make it their plan. All Ice Cube was saying is we have to engage with both parties regardless of who we vote for. Yeah, we cannot be 100 completely restricted and tied to the Democrat Party. Yeah. And then when someone of any type of prominence comes out and speaks against the Democrat Party, they get destroyed. And like yesterday when I brought up Nancy Pelosi when she was on Wolf Blitzer, she basically said, Mr. Ivey, that these are my people. I'm the only one that could take care of them. I'm the one that feed them. She was basically saying the Democrats know how to handle their Negroes.
For the sake of this conversation, let's keep Nancy Pelosi to the side. Let me go back to your point, though.
She's a Democrat leader, Nate. And this is what Ice Cube was talking about. He was talking about the political structure that black people have been dealing with for all these years.
I get it, brother. I'm just saying, I think let's put that to the side so we can focus on the conversation. The conversation is about Ice Cube, and I think it's condescending. I think it's condescending when I hear people try to make this point like, black people should be working with the Democrats and Republicans. That's like telling black folks you got to drink water every day to stay healthy. We already know that. That's not the issue here. Anyone who tries to make this conversation about Ice Cube about, well, we should be talking with the Democrats, Republicans, it's condescending. We already know that. The issue
that's your opinion, Mr. Ivey, but that's not the fact. There is a history, a political history with the Democrat Party, Mr. Ivey. I don't want to interrupt you, but
that's the sidebar.
All I'm saying.
We talking about Ice Cube. We talking about what happened and the news came out and the Trump campaign is pumping.
No, Mr. Ivey, we're talking about politics. No, this is an election year between Democrats and Republicans.
We're talking about politics through the prism of this particular situation with Ice Cube. So let's get back on that and stay focused on it, right? What did Ice Cube accomplish in the media news coming out that he was working with the Trump campaign on their platinum plan?
Okay, let me tell you, Mr. Ivey. He accomplished the same thing that Kanye West accomplished when him and Jim Brown went to the White House. Okay. Ice Cube did the same thing. Wait, hold. Let me finish. Because remember, we're talking about politics here. Okay. And we're talking about how these young black men are showing the young black people out there, the movers and shakers, the 35s to the 45s. Those are the ones that's making the moves. Ice Cube and Kanye West showed these young black people, along with Barack Obama, that anything is possible. And politically, you do not have to be tied to a party. You are a free agent. You are an independent contractor. A black person, when they're born in this country, they can't escape their blackness, Mr. Ivey. So for black people, you have to develop the skills and the tools to overcome. It's the history, Mr. Ivey, and it ain't no debate about it. Black people have always had to maneuver at a different pace with a different strategy. And what Ice Cube did last night on the Roland Martin show, unfiltered. Now I don't know how many people saw it because I didn't look at the views, but there is his audience are the 35s to the 45s and a couple a few older people. But what they're doing through social media, Mr. Ivey, and this is what I've been saying all along, that 2020 is going to be a turning point for the Democrat Party and the black constituent. The vote, because Roland Martin said the gap kept getting bigger from 2008. It was like 8% difference in the black male vote. And then in 2016, Donald Trump, it was, I think it was 13. And now they're projecting that the gap could be 20%. And that is real, Mr. Ivey. It is real when you have events like this with a prominent black man in that demographic. He ain't old guy. This is the young black demographic that is on social media that are watching this. And all I'm telling you, Mr. Ivey, we're going to find out in November. But before I go.
So to answer my question, nothing. Ice Cube.
Okay, but that's your opinion. Like I said, Mr. Ivey, you are way too smart than the average man.
That ain't even fair, Drop.
You ain't the average guy out there that's buying Ice Cube music.
Let me back it up, Drop. Let me back it up. That's unfair for me to say that the Ice Cube accomplished nothing, because he did accomplish something. He did accomplish. And what he accomplished was to give the Trump campaign tens of millions of dollars of free positive media directly focused on black voters 3 weeks before the election. That's what Ice Cube accomplished. So
let me ask you this. Mr. Ivey. Okay, let me ask you this, Mr. Ivey. Then I'm gonna hang up.
Sure.
Okay. 2 quick things.
Sure.
Okay. So let's go along with what you're saying, that Ice Cube helped the Republican Party possibly take votes away from Joe Biden or cause people not to vote for a president.
Now you're reading more into it. I'm just saying he gave them tens of millions of dollars. This is facts.
But isn't that what you're saying? That's basically what you're saying, right?
Advertising, free positive press 3 weeks before the presidential election. That's what happened. Those are facts. Okay. So what is political advertising for? It's to get votes. Right? Okay. So let's go with your analogy. He's helping Trump spread his message 3 weeks before the election.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Ivey. Now you're gonna let me get this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's say that Ice Cube swayed, let's say 500 black people. Okay, to not stay tied to the Democrat Party, but take a look at the Republicans, right? And let's say out of those 500 people, 400 decide to vote for Trump and the Republican Party and really follow their ideology. Now, Mr. Ivey, if those 400 black Americans made a decision to make their lives better by leaving the Democrat Party, how can you be mad at that, sir?
Well, I think we're jumping to a lot of conclusions. So,
no, you can answer my question if you don't mind.
I think you're jumping to a lot of conclusions and what ifs and all this kind of stuff. I mean, how are we going to calculate the impact of it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
But you already did. You just did it.
No, I didn't.
You took freedom.
No, I spoke facts from a media
to project and use conjecture. Oh, Ice Cube. Oh, he just got saved the Trump campaign millions of dollars in advertising.
No, I didn't say he saved them. I said he gave them tens of millions of dollars. Which
meant they didn't have to spend the money. That meant, see, Roland Martin, Mr. Ivey.
Standpoint, I mean, really,
but Mr. Ivey,
that's less money. That kind of platform should go to black media platforms. If any campaign is going to get that kind of positive press 3 weeks before the election, they should pay for it. That's just me.
Okay, so why did Roland Martin extend the campaign ad for the Trump campaign by bringing Ice Cube on?
All I know is last night on the Roland Martin show, Ice Cube got exposed. That's all I know. But thank you for the call, brother.
Okay, all right. Hey, thank you, Mr. Ivey, and I appreciate you allowing me to be the first call because always, man. I'm telling you right now, 5 to 8 is now changing to 8 to 15% is all it takes to beat Sleepy Joe in November. Where's Barack Obama? Drop Squad 52 dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Peace out.
It's like catching a big bag of flaming feces. I don't think you want to catch that, but I appreciate the brother's flow, but no. I'll say it again. I'll play the audio for you. You can hear it for yourself. I don't want to play the video. I just don't want to have any copyright issues, but I'll play the audio. You can check it out for yourself. And clearly, early in the conversation, it was clear that, Ice Cube hadn't done his homework. It was clear. And, I saw there's some people online and people are saying that this or that and the other about Ice Cube and the Democrats and the Republicans. And I just want to make sure that people know where I'm coming from. I don't care who you are. There's a space for you in the overall fight for the liberation of black people. There's a space for any and everybody when it comes to fighting for equity, policy, and tangibles. I don't care who you are. But even having said that, I still think there's an order to things. And if you're going to jump into that fight and do that, you can't be ignorant of the fight and the efforts and the movements that other people have already put out there. You can, but it's almost like a political form of like crab in a barrel, quite honestly, in my opinion. You're going to just walk over and lay some tracks over tracks that's already been laid there. Now you can, but I don't think it's right. And I think it's like some of that crab in a barrel mentality. Nobody owns the movement, but we got ownership of what we do and how we move. And it was clear to me last night that Ice Cube was ignorant to what was already going on out there. Like, you can't be a big time celebrity like Ice Cube and you got all this visibility and you on the Red Table Talk. I know he's supposed to be on CNN. They canceled on him, but at least you get those invitations and you can realistically have those kind of conversations on that level and be ignorant as to what the current climate is. You can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, because obviously you can because he did it, but you shouldn't do that. You should be more educated. You should be educated about what's going on, who's who, what's what, so you can speak intelligently about what you're trying to do. And so every time, and I told you, this audience already knows, every time I heard Ice Cube say, well, there is no plan, what did I tell you? What do you mean there's no plan? There's a lot of folks out there, there's black women-led organizations out there already. There's other people that's come together over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, creating black agendas, doing black census, out here on the streets. We're just going to overlook that because you was a part of NWA? I can't do it. I ain't doing it. I'm going to keep it real with you. Come on to the party, Ice Cube. Great. But be intelligent about what you're saying when you open your mouth. Period. There's nothing wrong with asking somebody to be educated about what they open their mouth about. Period. Is that, am I wrong in that? Know what you're talking about before you open your mouth representing us. You sound buffoonish. And it came out last night. Yeah, Roland asked him straight up, like, so what is it in your plan that they put in their plan? Because I'm looking at the two and I just can't see it. And it was a yabba dabba, abba dibba, starts getting on, and then he finally says something about some kind of $500 million fund, and Roland had to run him down and explain to him exactly what that meant. And then Ice Cube started pivoting, man. He started pivoting like Wilt Chamberlain. Started pivoting, right? Well, what the Democrats gonna do? And it ain't been done yet. So wait, brother, don't get defensive. Get educated. Don't get defensive. Go get educated and then come back so you can speak more intelligently. Because if you that uneducated about this part, then to me it says something about your overall, the efficacy of your efforts, in my humble opinion. I hope he's successful. And to Roland's credit, man, he wasn't as hard as I would have been. And, what he tried to do was to connect Alicia Garza, who's the founder of Black Futures Lab, with Ice Cube. I hope they connect. That'd be great. And she told him, she's like, man, if I had your platform, then maybe we could do what we trying to do a little bit faster. I'm like, that'd be great. So, props to Roland. I thought it was an excellent conversation. I thought it was an excellent interview. I thought it was well-intentioned. You could tell he was trying to educate the black man, right? Which I think that you should. I'm not saying that I'm above being educated. I'm here to be corrected. You know what I'm saying? You can sit me down and tell me about myself. And if you real, I'm going to be like, okay, you real. I had to deal with it. Yeah, it is what it is. So that goes for everybody, including big time celebrities named Ice Cube, O'Shea, Jackson. And again, I'm sure he's a hell of a guy, I'm sure. And man, I love the Friday series, man. I'm about everything he does. I've liked. I love the big three. I love all the stuff. I love his contract. I love the energy of it. We're having the kind of conversation that we have, but that we should be having, but go get educated. It's real simple. Know what you're talking about before you open your mouth representing our communities. Because if not, you're going to make yourself look real. You're going to make us look dumb and make you look dumb. And then there's something to be said about, because last night, Alicia Garza was like, you kind of like jumping to the head of the line. And there's something to be said about that. So let me make a video game analogy. And this is probably going to go over the heads of a lot of people because you don't do video games. But one of the most popular games in the world right now is a game called Modern Warfare Warzone. Anybody hip to that game? And basically, it's sort of a battle royale, not sort of, it's a battle royale combat sort of simulation game where you can play either solo, duos, or on a team, right? And there's a term in that game called being third party. Being third party. And what that means is, in a battle royale video game, essentially it's the last person standing. And the overall goal of that game is that you are the last team that's left in the war zone, right? And the way you become the last team is the other teams literally kill themselves off. And one of the best tactics, one of the most favorite tactics in that game is to third party someone, which means is that you'll wait until two people are engaging, two teams, and you'll sit back while they pick each other off and make each other weak. And then you'll come in and try to take them both out. They call it being third party. And so there's something to be said about that in the real world. So if you got folks out there that's already doing the work, they've already established relationships. Sometimes these are years in the making because politics, like everything else, like business, is about relationships. They've built relationships. They're at the table. And you get to these critical moments, sometimes very, very critical moments. And all of a sudden, somebody comes from the side, right? They're going to push you out the way and start doing exactly what you're already doing without of the experience or the relationships that have been built. There is nobody listening to me right now that if that was you, that you would be all cool with being third party by a black person or anybody else. Primarily if you're about the work. Because these can be very sensitive negotiations. And a third party coming in just out of the blue, you're like, what in the hell? It can blow the whole deal for everybody. So in that way, I can understand where she was coming from. I think it's a place for everybody, like I said, in that movement. But I think it's never what you do, it's how you do it. And it just amazes me that Cube would have the celebrity he has, and he hasn't already been working with these individuals who have laid the tracks before him, that have formed the relationships before him, right? That has taken steps in that direction. Is it about ego? Is it about who's going to do it and attach their name to it? Or is it about the work and the people? If it's about the people, if I see my brothers and sisters already got some progress, why would I third party? Keep going. I'm going to get on board. Or I'm going to stay the hell out your way while you do what you're doing. That's all I'm saying. So I understood where she was coming from, with that. Yeah, I thought it was as you could tell, I got into it. I thought it was an excellent conversation last night. 513-873-7134. Very, very timely, too. I'm inside the Chop Shop. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers, TGIF. Good morning to you. Miss D writes, greetings. Brian writes, morning. Cruther writes, good morning, Choppers. Tracy writes, hi. Clue Magic writes, Grand Risings, Nate and the Choppers. Sharp writes, TGIF, Nate and the Choppers. Let me put this out here because, man, your boy is very busy, and I tell people I like being busy. I should be busy at this point in my life, and I've got several things that are going on. But I'm also looking for the services of a mechanical engineer, someone who can create something based upon drawn designs. If you know someone who's a mechanical engineer, this is for a brand new startup. Someone who has the type of skills that I'm describing. Then I'm looking to build a prototype. And if you know someone who has those kind of skills and that kind of experience, please direct message me because I want to connect with them and see if that's something that they may be able to help us with. Looking really, really forward to that. Something really exciting that I want to share with you when it's the right time to share with you. But as of right now, I'm looking for the services of a mechanical engineer. I would prefer a black man, a black woman, black person, but I'm down. Who can create a prototype based upon written written designs and plans. Okay. And they will have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, just to give you a heads up on that. This means you don't talk about what you're seeing and what you're working on. But just have them send me a direct message. If that sounds like the type of skills, or I'm describing someone that or someone who's already done this before, please have them direct message Nathan Ivey, and I'll be in contact with them. Appreciate it. Shout out to all the people who gave me recommendations for a dentist. Yeah, I put that out about a month and a half ago, and I decided I just went with, I'm looking for a black man or a woman. I want a black dentist. Just be honest with you. Take it how you want to take it. And I did find one and had my first visit this past week. And so now I can be on the road of making sure that my oral health is tip-top shape. You know what I'm saying? As I transition into this part of my life, to be in the absolute and health, all levels that I can possibly be in. And good dental care means everything. Plus, I'm in front of the camera a lot. I want to make sure my smile is on par with my flows. You know what I'm saying? Sharp Rice, TGIF, Nate and the Choppers. Mason Marlin Rice, morning, Nate and the Choppers. Hashtag flows, ready to eat for everybody. Hashtag never lonely. I keep it on me. Hashtag ice puddle got played. What? Oh, ice puddle. You're wrong for that. Hashtag never had dinner with the COVID. Hashtag orange slushy with melted ice cubes. Orange slushy with melted ice cubes. You are hilarious, man. I ain't trying to down the brother. I ain't trying to dog the brother because I don't delight in anybody's missteps. I don't delight in that. But it was very clear to me last night that Ice Cube the brother just needs to do just a little bit more research. He needs to do, thank you for the message. Appreciate the kind words. The brother just needs to do a little bit more research, okay? Or he should have done more research, or hopefully he'll catch up now to understand what's going on, because that can help the movement. If the movement's about equity policy and tangibles to black folks, does it really matter who does what? Or does it really matter the end game? To me, the end game is what matters. Whose name's attached to it, who gets the credit is irrelevant. It's the end game, right? So if it's the end game, then your action should, reflect that. So I don't want to go on and on. I don't want people to think that I'm issuing on Ice Cube, because I'm not. I wish that brother well. I think very highly of what he's trying to do. But like I said, last night on the Roland Martin show, Ice Cube got exposed.
More than an actor, he's more than a philanthropist. He also cares deeply about the issues facing black people. And he has really been locked and loaded for the last several months. If you follow him on social media, when it comes to what's been happening in the streets, police brutality, other issues, he joins us right now from the West Coast. All right, Skip, how you doing, man?
Yeah. What's up, Roland? How you feeling, man?
Man, feel great. Glad to have you on the show. Let's get right to it. When did it hit you where you said, you know what, I've got to do something. I've got to help put something together to help our people?
I had thought of a piece of what's now called the Contract with Black America. I had thought of a piece of it called the American Jobs Pact, where it was just a great, program where industry could work with the community and government to the big three, monopolize my time. So the country is suffers from having.
I'm flashing.
And so,
Look,
really, I shouldn't, but somebody's got to, set something in motion that's more than just, reforming one thing like the police. You reform the police, and if you leave the prison system in place and the justice system in place, it's not going to matter. We're getting it from all ends, so everything has to be reformed at the same time. Of course, we welcome smarter people to come look at what we got and build off of it. This isn't Ice Cube's contract with Black America. This is a contract with Black America. So anybody can.
Sorry about that. I think overall the brother has good intentions. I I played that for you because I wanted to give you a sort of a background for, what I'm about to play for you. I think it's very, very important for you to hear that, because I don't want to make it seem like I got some problem with Ice Cube or I'm trying to down a brother or something like that, because nothing could be further from the truth. I think very, very highly of Ice Cube, and anybody else is out here, and again, I'm much more of a doer. Like, I hear so many people talking. Talk means nothing to me, but when I see people actually putting things in motion with action, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you real. Cool. You got my attention. Thank you so much. No, I saw it. You got my attention. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Ice Cube is real. I think that Ice Cube really, really cares about the community. So when I play these clips and I make these flows, in no way am I trying to ridicule this brother. I'm not trying to say anything negative about the brother, but I got to point this out because I think it's really, really key. I think it's really, 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 really key, right? So last night, Ice Cube talked with Roland Martin about his contract with Black America, and then, all of the things that go along with it. And I think it's important for us to listen to a little bit of his conversation this morning. Like I said, in my opinion, I think Ice Cube got exposed. And he got exposed in a sense of just his lack of knowledge of what's going on. His lack of knowledge about what's happening with the Congressional Black Caucus. Now, you might be like, Congressional Black Caucus? Who are they? Well, these are Black congressional members who have already been coming up with plans that are in the pipeline. So does it make sense for us to say, oh, nobody's doing anything, when in fact there are plans that could even be far more positively impactful than Ice Cube plan? But the Trump administration and Mitch McConnell are holding it up. So maybe the real conversation should be just how important the U.S. Senate is and how Mitch McConnell is holding up progress to our community, and less about the fact that nobody but Ice Cube has come up with a Black agenda. I'm just saying, if we're going to have this conversation, let's have the real conversation, not the conversation that we think we should have, not the conversation that makes us feel good, right? But the real conversation about the real issues that are happening. I hear people saying, ain't nobody doing nothing, but that's just because they're ignorant about what people are doing. So you should educate yourself before you start getting out here. Check this out.
All kind of other names. And so as opposed to sitting here having people just talk about it, we said we'll talk to him. He joins us now. Glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Ice Cube. So let's start this way. When they say you worked with them to develop the Platinum Plan, what does that actually mean? What did you do? Who did you talk to?
Well, what they did, they had a plan. Their plan is the Platinum Plan. My plan is the Contract with Black America. So they had their Platinum Plan, and they saw things in the contract with Black America that were directed, directly to Black Americans and not just to all minorities. And they asked to speak with us. I always told everybody, as soon as we finish the contract with Black America, or not finished because it's still a growing document, I told everybody that I was going to meet with both sides, and I don't know why they didn't believe me. This is not a partisan issue. It's actually a bipartisan issue. And we have to talk to people who have the power to make things happen. Now, they asked to speak to me so I can explain some of my concepts of the contract with Black America.
Who is they? Was it Donald Trump? Was it his campaign team? Was it officials in the White House? Who's they?
I've never met Donald Trump a day in my life.
Got it.
And I've never been to the White House. Okay. So it was people on his campaign. This chick who put out the tweet, it wasn't her. I never met her either. I don't even know who she is.
Listen to that. People in his campaign, not his administration, not Republican legislators, not members of the Senate, people in his re-election campaign. Pay attention.
Katrina Pearson, you don't know who that is, never met her.
No, I've never met her.
Okay.
But the thing is this, they looked at the contract with Black America and they saw that their plan was lacking, and they wanted to implement some of the things from the contract with Black America into their plan. And I said, you're welcome to do it. And I would say the same thing to the Biden campaign. They're welcome to do it. Some great ideas.
Now, I get it. You can tell that Ice Cube's a good guy. He said, you're welcome to do it. But what he should have said was, why? Why is it that 3 weeks before the election, when you've been in office for 3.5 years, right? The Congressional Black Caucus and these other grassroots organizations have been trying to get you to implement various pillars of their Black agendas. Why do you want to meet with me 3 weeks before the election? That's what he should have asked himself. I'm just saying, that's what he should have said. Why? 3 weeks before the election.
Seeing too many people disputing the contract with Black America. Everybody understand that it's needed and it's necessary. So I don't mind anybody in the public sector or in the private sector using parts of it, asking me about it, asking for me to understand, what am I talking about when it comes to trying to not count us as minorities, but to count us as, pretty much a protected race. And so I think we're being buried under a lot of words like minority and people of color and things like that. Now, their plan is still their plan. It's not my plan. Their plan, like all of them, don't go far enough. All of them can be better, but these are just the facts of what happened. This is the Biden campaign basically said, we love 85% of your plan, but we want to talk after the election. That's fine. I'm willing to talk after the election. I just think both sides of the aisle need to take this serious.
So what's in their plan that they actually took from yours? Because I've gone through their plan line by line. And be perfectly honest with you, I don't see what's in the plan they released and even mirrors what's in yours.
Well, like I said, both plans between both parties are lacking. So, this is what they did. You have to look at the contract with Black America and see where the overlap is. But, the thing that what I tried to make them understand is, they have programs, and both parties have programs that are built for minorities and people of color and diversity and urban and these words that don't include us, because they include us, but we only get a small portion most of the time of these programs. So we have to train all politicians that we are Black people, Black Americans.
Notice how he not answering the question? Pay attention, family. Now, that should be a very simple question to answer. It's your plan. You met with them. They out here running your name. Katrina Pearson, the Trump campaign got your name in their mouth. The man asked you, what did they take from your plan and put in their plan? Because I don't see it. And we still waiting for an answer.
Most of and I'm specifically talking about the descendants of slavery, and we have to be dealt with, our concerns have to be rectified as that, and not as a blanket thing with all other minorities. That puts us under 100% of the population here, and. I don't know if we can ever get up out of that.
But with your contract, it lists these 13 different points here. And again, in their plan, what do you see in the platinum plan they released that mentions that mirrors anything that's in yours?
You got, if I'm looking at it, agreeing to direct VC money to Black investment companies up to $40 billion.
Hello?
Because see, a lot of people have been talking about this $500 billion.
What was that? And again, in the video, he gets online, he like, direct VC money, which is venture capitalist money, direct VC money to what the hell is that, man? Answer the question.
That's not going to Black people. In fact, that's just actually the infrastructure funding program. That's not actually $500 billion going to Black people. And then when they say,
well, how many billion is the other one given to Black people?
No. That's not. No, I'm saying is that's not even. They list this thing under Black economic empowerment and access to capital. It says seek infrastructure funding that will lead to widespread growth in the annual $500 billion federal contracting opportunities. Even that line right there is not for Black people. That's federal contracting opportunities for everybody. So that's not, so they're trying to make it sound like, oh, $500 billion to Black people. It's not. That's the actual annual program overall for everybody.
Yeah, I understand what you see in that, but it's really up to us to try to direct that money to Black people. Right.
But there's a difference.
If we're not in contact or not talking to a certain administration, because we're on another team, and
I hear that over and over again. We got to talk to both sides. What makes you think these grassroots organizations don't talk to Republicans? What makes you think that people don't talk with the Trump administration? They talk with them. The CBC Congressional Black Caucus tried to talk with the Trump administration. They get stonewalled. I mean, it's dozens and dozens. Hey, thank you so much, Jesse, becoming a patron this morning. I appreciate you, brother. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of bills that are dying on Mitch McConnell's desk right now because he's a Senate majority leader and he won't even give it to a vote. And many of them affect our community. What makes you think that just because it's not moving forward, that's because people don't work with the Trump administration? I mean, they got us, they playing Black people. They making Black people look real dumb with this whole thing about we got to work with both sides and we on the Democrat plantation. What makes you think that people don't work with Republicans? That ain't the question. The question is, are they willing to work with us, our organizations, our grassroots organizations? On some cases, they are. In some cases, they ain't. I know Black people trying to get stuff done in the state of Ohio. They've reached out to Republicans. Stop trying to make us, it makes us look like we dumb. When I hear people say that, like, we got to be willing to work with the Trump administration. What makes you think people haven't tried to work with the Trump administration and talk some sense into them? That what you think? You're thinking wrong, homie. I don't want to go on and on with that because there's some other parts in there. I do want to play the part just so I can validate what I put up today. Because like I said, just in a couple of minutes in this clip, Ice Cube admits like, yeah, they exploited it, meaning that he was talking about the contract with America. But no, brother, they exploited you. They exploited you. They exploited your celebrity and your name and your history and the connection you got with our community. And we didn't get nothing out of it. Nothing. Zero. As I see here right now, on October 16, 2020, the Trump administration got tens of millions of dollars of free advertising, and the black community got zero. Ice Cube can't even tell you what they took from his plan to the next plan. Can't even tell you, but I don't want to go on and on for days and days. I think I've set the table properly. Tanika writes, good morning, Nathan Choppers. Mason Muller writes, Alicia Garza is the truth. I respect what she's doing. And I understand what she was saying last night. I get it 100%. It makes perfect sense. There's nobody out there that if you was in her shoes, you would feel any different. You wouldn't say anything different. You'd be like, well, damn, I wish you was on our team. But let's try to make something happen. That's what anybody would say. And these negotiations come down to relationships in a lot of cases. Then somebody just comes out of nowhere and third parties, they're going to push you out the way and do what you've been doing, right? There's nobody listening that's going to be like, oh, well, God said turn the other cheek. You're not going to do that. You're going to be like, wait a minute, I've been here doing this. I respect you coming to the party, but we've been here, you ain't going to disrespect the work that I've been doing just because now you want to do it. Who does that? Nobody. Miss Tiffany writes, good morning. Cassandra writes, hey, Choppers. Cam writes, exposed, huh? ? I don't think so. Cube was very upfront and was truthful about the situation in my observation and research. He actually said that he knew that he would be exploited and be used for political gain when he reached out to both political parties, but that was not his concern. Chop, chop. Well, you can't have it both ways in the game of politics 3 weeks before an election. Cam, you can't have it both ways. You can't be so caught up in just what you're doing that you allow your celebrity to be exploited by the Trump campaign. Whether you had good intentions or not, you should have thought it all the way through. And the number one reason why is because what did you, Cam, what did any black person in America get out of this relationship to this point that's been put out there and publicly reported on between Ice Cube and the Trump administration? Nothing. We didn't get anything out of it. But as I keep saying, Trump got tens of millions of dollars of free positive press with our community. And you think that that's okay? I must be missing something. I don't get it. Cam writes, that is not what he said. You are selective hearing, Nate. That is exactly what he said. Do I need to play the clip? The man said, yeah, it got exploited because he was trying to disassociate himself as a person from his plan, but he cannot because the Trump administration are promoting his personal association with them and their plan. So he can't just disconnect himself now. That's not how it works in the big game of politics. Ice Cube got played, Cam. I know we don't want to believe it. Remember the NWA? Damn, when he left, he gave the NWA the business. But he just got served up by the Trump administration. And there's no other way of looking at it. That's just what it is. 100%. I don't delight me to say it. I wish it wasn't true, but it is what it is. It got exploited. Oh, it don't matter who it was going to be, they was going to exploit it. Well, that's not congruent and consistent with what happened. Ice Cube said he reached out to both parties. Again, don't put me in a position where I got to defend one of the two parties because I don't want to defend either one of them. But the facts are the facts. You reached out to the Biden campaign and they said, you know what? We are in the middle of a political campaign. We agree with 85% of what you have to say. After the election, we take care of this business, then we'll deal with it. Rather than just give you some lip service and run out there and try to exploit you, we are going to deal with it in its proper term. The Trump administration, and we know that Trump is a man who has never turned down an opportunity to exploit a situation. They said, oh boy, yeah, we'll meet with you. Got him on the phone, met with him virtually. He didn't even meet with Trump. Took some of his ideas, put it in theirs to the point where it's damn near imperceptible, and then ran on social media and told everybody we working with Ice Cube. So which party exploited him? Exactly. Which party actually exploited the brother? He got exploited by the Trump campaign. All this, what we think might happen, all I know is what did happen. Period. And the reason why I'm mad about it is because it impacts the upcoming election, and it's going to it potentially could impact black voters. That's when I get involved. That's when I get involved. That's what I see. I don't have to be right, but I don't have to be wrong either. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stand by that. But let's go to the phones. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Nate, what's happening? This is Cam.
Hey, what up, Cam?
What's happening? I wanted to make sure that I called. I'm not going to we got to do this quick because I don't want it to turn into any type of back and forth.
Okay.
But there's a critical part of the interview that you're missing. I don't know if you're missing it or if you're deliberately not talking about it. Okay. But Cube said in a portion of the interview that he knew going in that he would be exploited by either party, Republican or Democrat. And then he said that the contract is bipartisan. There's many things that Cube said that's being overlooked by the so-called black community. Now, I'm not taking either side. I'm looking at it from the perspective of a truth perspective, whether someone's being truthful or they're being, maliciously putting out falsehoods and whatnot. He said in that interview that he knew that he would be exploited by either party, but that wasn't his concern. His concern was to try to get in front of either party to be able to help the so-called black community in whatever way that he can. That's what he said in the interview. I watched it, dissected it, looked at both sides. I don't think that he was exposed, because if he was exposed, he actually exposed himself. Let me rephrase that. He was not exposed by Roland. Let me say that. He exposed himself, and I think that he exposed himself to try to bring about an understanding as to what he is actually trying to do. Now, let's look at this from another perspective. The plan, I'm not going to call it the Q plan, because he said at the beginning that it's not my plan. It is a plan that that his name is attached to as an entertainer, as an artist, and as an actor. So, of course, that's got to be put out in the forefront, because that is who is so-called, for lack of better words, kind of like sponsoring it, right? So if you develop a plan, right, in which this plan was developed, he said 3 months, will release 3 months before the election. How long do you think that it took to develop the plan before that 3 months before it was released within the last 3 months? It probably took at least 6 months to actually 6 months prior to even draw up and develop the plan, and then release it 3 months before the election. So if he had to put a clause in there to say that, okay, if either party is going to respond to this plan, you cannot respond to this plan within 30 days of the election. But he didn't say that. It was the Trump administration that chose to respond in this time frame. The Biden campaign responded within this time frame as well. And the Biden campaign responded in the manner of, we agree with 85% of what is in your plan. However, we will not discuss it. We will not negotiate anything until after the election. Now, in my understanding of the definition of exploit, that is by definition exploiting him for the vote. Because in other words, that's saying, okay, we're going to sit down with you about this 85% that we agree with, and it's 15% that we don't, but we won't sit down with you until we are elected.
What? Cam.
Okay, let me repeat it. Let me repeat it and listen to me closely, please. Their response, the Biden campaign, what response was, we agree with 85% of the plan, but we will not negotiate or sit down with you until after the election.
That's wrong. That's not even what Cube said. That Cube
No. I'm not saying what. No. I'm not saying what Cube said.
But that's
I'm saying the way that the Biden campaign responded to the contract.
Well, send me that link because I haven't heard it. What Cube
It's very easy. You can Google that. I don't have to send you a link, bro. Come on now, Nate. Let's not do that. Well, all you got to do is Google that, and you can read it for yourself.
Okay, can I get a word in edgewise? So number one, I don't know where you're coming from. I think you're trying real hard to solve
No. All I did, Nathan. You asked me to send you a link. You asked me to send you a link about the 85%.
They're not going to be able to hear it if you're talking under me and I'm talking under you. So let me get my piece and I throw it back to you. So a couple things here. I mean, there's a couple things need to be corrected. So number one, that's not even what Cube said. No.
I know that Cube didn't say that, though.
So that's what we're talking about. I mean, I think Cube's perception and what he said is what we should be talking about. Cube didn't even say anything like that. What Cube said is the Biden administration, the Biden campaign said that they would get back to him and bring it back up after the election. That's what he said.
Okay, now let me ask you a question based off of that. Let's do this in pieces, Nate.
That's all new.
Because I don't want it to get drowned out. So in the beginning of the interview that you played, brother,
we can hear you.
In the beginning of the interview can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I ain't really finished my point yet before you told me I was wrong. So let me.
No, I'm not telling you wrong. All right.
Because you said a whole lot. I want to make sure we don't miss any of it. So just to correct you, that's not even what Cube said that the Biden campaign responded. So all this stuff about we won't negotiate, that's new to me.
No, he did, but Nathan, that's not true. He did in the interview.
Okay,
he said that he reached out to both parties.
That's not what he said. I can play it
he
again.
Did.
I got it queued
up.
No, play
it again, please. Play it again.
I will play it again when we get off the phone, but that's not what he said. What he said is that they would get back with him and sit down with them after the campaign.
Turn it down.
Okay, that if I'm wrong, then the audio will correct it. But let me back up here. To me,
okay, so he took a piece. So now you're saying he took a piece of it. So he took a piece. That is just a piece of it. In
that interview, you're trying real hard, and that's cool. But
no, I'm not trying. I'm just saying the facts, brother.
Yeah, but let's put all the facts out there. You're right. Cube did make that statement. He did say that he felt like it was gonna be exploited by either. No, he
didn't say he felt like. He didn't say he felt like. He didn't say that. He said that he knew. He said that he knew that he would be. Not that he felt like. There's a difference.
He said that later in the conversation.
Well, later he said it. Later or before or during, he said it.
Yeah, he said it later in the conversation after it was very clear that he was exposed by the Trump administration.
Okay, my question to you in reference to that. My question to you in reference to that. If you knew that he said that in the conversation, how could you rightfully say that he was exploited by the Trump administration when he already said that he knew that he would be exploited by either administration, whether it was Trump or Biden?
Listen to what you just said, brother. You just answered your own question.
I'm asking you. I'm not asking you, brother.
Why are you asking me a question that you just answered? Think about what you just said.
Because you're not answering it.
You just answered it for me. Cube himself just admitted your own word.
Okay, I'm going to be a ventriloquist and answer the question for you. I'm asking you a question that you keep avoiding.
I'm not avoiding it. I don't have to avoid
Okay.
it. You just
Okay, so let
answered it.
me ask again, please.
Ask again.
Okay. So if Ice Cube knew, if he said in the interview, whether it was in the beginning, the middle, or end, if he said that he knew that he would be exploited by either, listen to the interview again, by either campaign, but that was not his focus. His focus was trying to help the black community.
We know that.
So I'm saying, if you knew that, I'm saying my question to you is, if you knew that he said that he would be exploited, why would you say that he was exploited by the Trump campaign?
Because he was exploited by the Trump campaign. That's why I said it.
Okay. All right. Now that's your answer. I got it.
And he admitted it twice. So earlier in the conversation, I'll play it for you here in a second now, just so we can all be clear. He says, yeah, they exploited it. He was referring to they being the Trump administration and it being his role with helping them with the platinum plan. Then later on in the conversation, he made that statement that you're referring to when it was clear that he was already exploited. So why would you now deny the obvious truth?
I don't think that there was any denial.
So let's whittle down a little bit more, Cam. Which of the two campaigns went on Twitter and announced that their plan, that they have been working with Ice Cube? Was it the Democrats or the Republicans? Was it Biden or Trump?
Was it the Biden campaign or the Trump campaign? You're talking about Twitter that went on Twitter?
I'm asking.
It was the Trump campaign, because the Trump campaign is definitely more present on Twitter than the Biden campaign. So of course it was the Trump campaign.
Exactly. Of course it was. So going back to my point, that proves that it was the Trump campaign that exploited him. We don't know what the Biden campaign may or may not have done because they didn't do it.
Now, with that logic, we don't know because they said that we won't let you know. We won't let you know until after the election.
We can't have a conversation. We can't have a conversation and tell a conversation about what didn't happen. What did happen is that the Trump administration exploited this brother. Now, he might have been well-intentioned. I believe he is well-intentioned, but he was naive in the timing, and he allowed himself and his image to be exploited by the Trump campaign. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, Nate, I understand you know where your heart is with the Biden campaign. I understand that.
It's not about the Biden
campaign. Looking at it,
it's about this looking
at it from another perspective. Let's look at the definition for the word exploit.
Oh, now we want the definition of the word exploit? We know
because it's being misused.
It's being
misused.
Let's just jump out ahead.
It's being misused. The word is being misused.
Oh, is it?
The definition of the word exploit is to make full use.
Ice Cube used it last night.
What's that?
I said, if I'm misusing the word exploit, then why did Ice Cube
can I say the definition? Can I read the definition, please?
Can you answer that question?
Yes. The definition for the word exploit is to make full use of and derive benefit from a resource.
Send that to Ice Cube because he used the word
last
night.
The resource is the contract. When the Biden campaign decided to respond to the link that you asked me to send, they said that we agree with 85% of what's in your contract, but we will not respond nor negotiate until after the election. By definition, that is making full use of and derive a benefit from a resource.
I don't understand where you're coming from, Cam. You asking me.
I know you don't. That's a problem.
It is a problem. The problem is that you asking me
lack of understanding.
You got the answer to. How you gonna tell me that I'm using the word? We're using the wrong word.
You just said who responded because you just said you asked me a question.
How are you going to tell us that we're using that the word exploit is being misused? When
it's being misused because it's not pointing in both directions.
That's the word
it's being
period. And because he used the word,
it's being misused. It's being misused because it's not being pointed in the right direction. And there's misplaced blame.
No, it's not. You should tweet that to Ice Cube. So let's go around here. Let's circle back. So you thought when you first called in, you were like, well, I think that you was wrong to say he was exploited. Well, Ice Cube.
No, I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
I
didn't say that.
You said that
I didn't say that.
I was wrong to say
I didn't say I think that
you.
No, I didn't say that you were wrong.
Oh, okay. That's what it sounded like. So you said
I know it sounded like that, but that's not what I said.
Ice Cube was exploited. That's what you said. Okay. Well, I used the same word that he used. He said that he was exploited. So that's why I used it.
But he said that he knew that he would be exploited.
Okay.
Not that the Trump can't. Okay, I understand the spin you're putting on it. Okay, I understand the spin move.
Facts,
and it's cool because that's your job.
There's no spin. You just can't bend logic just because you disagree with it. That's what you're trying to do. I didn't
bend logic. I just gave you the definition of exploit, and both parties are attempting to exploit.
Ice Cube needs the definition for exploit. He used the word last night. That's why I used it. So you should tweet that to him and say, hey, brother, when you said that you knew that you were going to be exploited, you misused the word. Why are you telling me?
No. Because what I'm saying, Nathan, is that to look at it from both sides of the perspective. You're not looking at it in the way
that you want me to.
That the Biden campaign attempted. The Biden campaign attempted and still is attempting, because the election is not over yet, to exploit.
Brother, you couldn't be more wrong about that. And again,
I just gave the definition of exploit. That's not my word. That's Webster's word.
Let me ask you a question.
So you wouldn't agree. So wait a minute. You would not agree that the Biden campaign tried to make full use of and derive a benefit from the contract?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. All right, bro. On that note,
ask again.
On that note, we could just end it. No, I understand.
All right.
And there's nothing else need to be said.
All right, brother.
All right.
I appreciate.
All right, bro.
I appreciate the heated conversation. That brother right there. Woo. Listen, I'm about the truth and logic and common sense. And Cam, I love you, bro. You know that. I know you support the show. But a lot of what you just said made no sense whatsoever. You asking me questions that you already know the answer to, and your logic is twisted. So let's take it from the top. So Ice Cube comes up with a contract from America. He says, listen, I want to work with the Biden campaign. I want to work with the Trump campaign. The Biden campaign says, you know what? We like some of what's in your plan, but let's pick this back up after the election. The Trump campaign says, you know what? Woo, let's talk. They do a virtual meeting or communicate or converse through electronic media, i.e. Gmail or whatever they did. And apparently they took some of the bullet points from Ice Cube's plan and put it in their plan. Now, one thing is for certain, family, and we found this out last night, that it's damn near imperceptible if you put the two plans together to figure out what they took from the contract with Black America and put in to the Platinum Plan. How do we know this? Because Roland Martin asked the author of the plan, and he stuttered and stammered and was difficult. He struggled to come up with what they took from his plan. Who would know his plan better than Ice Cube? I don't know his plan better than the plan that he helped to develop. And he struggled on virtual television last night to tell Roland and to tell the people what the Trump administration took from his plan and put in their plans. That means it's damn near imperceptible. Okay? The Trump administration then goes this week on Twitter and tells everybody, we're working with Ice Cube. And then Cam calls in here and tells me that the Biden campaign tried to exploit Ice Cube. What? Brother, stop. That don't make no damn sense. That makes, and I think we got to look at things logically. Want to see things, but we got to look at things logically for what they really are. That don't make no sense. And as I said, I mean, everything I told you is facts. Ice Cube made that admission twice during the interview. I spoke to both of them this morning. The first time was earlier in the interview when he said, and I'm quoting, I knew it was going to be exploited. I just broke it down for you. I knew they were going to exploit is what he said. By they, he was talking about politicians, but the people that actually exploited it are the people that's running around telling everybody that we working with Ice Cube. Not the people that say, hey, listen, let's talk about it after we finish this business in November. Huh? That makes no sense whatsoever, man. Come on, Cam. You're a logical brother, bro. You got to think that through again. I think later on you're going to really kick yourself in the ass. Like, you know what? Nathan was trying to tell me. Brother, I sometimes people get caught up in the heat of the moment and stuff like that. I'll give you a pass on that one because that didn't make no sense whatsoever. 0 sense what you just said. And him admitting, and people do that a lot when they admit they're wrong. Like, oh, I knew I was going to get played, but I did it anyway because I care about the community. I mean, that's cool and all, but the stakes are bigger than you just feeling a little bit embarrassed afterward. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the stakes are bigger than just afterwards. You're like, you know what? They got over on me. Man, millions upon millions of people are going to be voting. Everything that's happening in this particular season is about the campaign. It's about the election. And I'm just saying Ice Cube should have been smarter than that. He should have asked himself, why is Trump reaching out to me right now? Why do they want to talk? He should have asked himself that. He shouldn't be so caught up in his own feelings, in his own personal agenda, that he's just willing to do anything at any time. Because he might end up working against his own best interest and or the best interest of the black people that he created his agenda for in the first place. That's all I'm saying. And here's another reason. Because what did we get out of it, Cam? Nothing. Black people have gotten nothing out of this meeting between Ice Cube and the president. Well, not even the president's people. He didn't even meet with no senators. He didn't even meet with Mitch McConnell. And that's who he really should be meeting with. You got to talk with the legislators. That's where it starts. So I hear you, brother, man, but no, it makes no sense whatsoever, man. I'm surprised at you, Cam. Must be a Friday kind of thing. Surprised that brother. Usually that brother's on point. That didn't make any sense right there. And he wants you going to give me a definition about exploitation. Send that to Ice Cube. He's the one who said he was exploited as you were arguing. You just argued that. And then you're going to tell us he used the word wrong? Well, okay, he used the word wrong. But that's what he said twice in the interview last night. Yeah, I knew it was going to be exploited. Yeah, I knew they was going to exploit it. Okay, well, send brother Ice Cube a tweet with the definition of exploitation, and then perhaps in his future interviews, he won't use that word. But to come back around, you initially was telling me that I was reading it wrong and he wasn't exploited. I used the same word he used. Simple as that. We'll get there together. We'll get there together. We'll get there together, no doubt about it. I'm going to give him a pass this morning. He gets a pass. It's a good brother right there. Let me take a quick break. 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, I'm about 30 minutes over a break. We'll get right back to the conversation right after this. Please take a second to like, and in particular to share today's show. Please share today's show. When you share the show, more people see it. We'll be right back.
Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Black Business Report. I'm Mark Mills. A group of businesses are asking President Trump to withdraw his executive order that puts a limit on some diversity training. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce says Trump's order creates confusion, leads to unnecessary investigations, and hinders employers from combating workplace discrimination. Proposition 16, a proposal to end California's prohibition on affirmative action, is in trouble ahead of the November election. The measure, seeking to reverse a 24-year ban on giving racial and gender-based advantages in hiring, for contracts, and in college enrollment, is backed by only about 1/3 of likely voters surveyed. The Salvation Army became the latest client to end its relationship with the Richards Group after the ad agency's founder, Stan Richards, was reported making a racist remark. Earlier this week, Home Depot and Motel 6 broke ties with the agency. According to Ad Age, the 87-year-old founder said a proposed ad for Motel 6 was too black and wouldn't resonate with the chain's significant white supremacist constituents. And that's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Mark Mills.
Jill Schiller has been missing in action, and now we know why. Did you know that Jill Schiller, candidate for Hamilton County Treasurer, got away with a dangerous offense? Her friends and connections at Cincinnati City Hall turned their heads when she was racing through a Cincinnati public school zone doing 52 in a 20-mile-an-hour zone. She could have killed a child. As a mother of 3, that's concerning. 25,000 children are injured each year because of speeding in a school zone. 100 children are killed in school zones each year by people like Schiller. Schiller should have served 5 days in jail as the law states, but being privileged kept her out while you, the public, would have gone to jail. Her friends and connections at City Hall only fined her $60, and they quickly destroyed the evidence the next day. We cannot trust Schiller with our school children. Should we trust her to protect and safeguard our tax dollars? Vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer. We can trust him to safeguard our tax dollars and our children.
Paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
This is Zoe Wesson. What side of history do you want to be on? The right side, or one where Black people continue to be underrepresented in Hamilton County? Now's your chance to end 230 years of exclusion. In Charlie Winburn, we have a man that's received the Cincinnati NAACP President's Award, who fought on the Ohio Civil Rights Commission for 6 years, who received the Baptist Ministers Conference Community Service Award. Charlie Winburn has received the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Award and was honored by WDBZ The Buzz as Pastor of the Month. We know Charlie Winburn, and he knows us. He's the right man to put us on the right side of history. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote for Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 3rd, paid for by friends of Charlie
Are you
Winburn.
interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
You're listening to The Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
Hey, good morning, good people. Good morning to you. It's a beautiful Friday. Wanted to give you a heads up. The Is It Just Me podcast coming up today at 12:30 p.m. You can watch it live on Facebook, on Sin Digital Media. Our mission is to amplify Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond. And Donnie B will be talking about Ice Cube. She's also got a candidate for probate judge on with her today. And again, these judge races are so important. Shout out to the NAACP and the Prince Hall Masons. Donnie B has been your moderator and will continue to be your moderator throughout the month of October, doing an excellent job. They're trying to give as much information about these candidates as possible. All right. For now, we've been talking about Ice Cube. That seems to be the big topic of the day. I've been giving you my strong opinion. I know I can come on real strong. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what you want me to be all weak about it? I mean, that's how I feel. It is what it is. And taking your phone calls and your comments as well at 513-873-7134. I'm super pumped about this next call coming up, man, because, man, I used to really enjoy this brother back in the day, man. We got Al Catone on the line. Hey, Al, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Al, good morning to you, good brother. What's up?
Al Catone, the one and only, man. Man, people won't believe it, but I used to love Park Place back in the day, man. That was my spot. I used to rock, used to bless the mic, man. I used to be like, man, that brother right there is super talented, man. How you been, good brother?
I've been excellent, man. Just on this grind and trying to build understanding and information as you are.
Oh, absolutely. We got to talk then, brother. As I told you, man, we got to talk. Let's talk. But what's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, well, I mean, just on your topic that you're speaking on with the Ice Cube situation, and I guess that brother that you was just speaking with really didn't understand what he was saying and how this thing is really working. The Democrat Party, I thought, kept it professional with not running around using Ice Cube name. Ice Cube should have known better that if he take that type of plan to one of those parties, the party that was going to use it. He knew Trump was going to go for it, just as they go for Kanye West. They trying to pull in as many black votes as he can. Ain't giving no real topic of what they gonna do with this plan of Ice Cube. They probably just using the first word in that plan, and that's it. And it's not like they developing it right now before the election.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? Both of the parties. I don't think the Democrats came at are using Ice Cube in a wrongful way. You know what I'm saying? But the Republican Party and Trump and them is definitely using it for his name and to get black votes. That's it.
Yep. Hey, Al, I'll be in contact, man. Damn, Al Capone, you have no idea, man. I'm genuinely pumped, man. I'm glad to hear you doing well, brother.
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely.
And just as me being out in LA, man, these guys know what they doing. They know if Donald Trump trying to get a real solid black person to speak on a behalf just to get black votes, and everybody know this, man. They know Donald Trump is not thinking about trying to take care of no black community and no black people in no kind of way. So I don't believe that Ice Cube went in there like he just didn't know what was going on. He knew that man and that type of campaign party was going to use his name and use his face and spread it all over as if they working together. He knew that. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And again, I think he's well intentioned. I think that Ice Cube has the best intentions, but he might have been a little naive about how that political game is going to get played out, especially 3 weeks before an election.
But I'm saying he made a song back in the day, Dog and Eazy-E, about going to eat with the president. He already know what this from the political part. He NWA. He definitely know what the political, how they react and how they use people and destroy communities. He know for a fact, if anybody know, his song was "I Never Had Dinner with the President." He know what it is.
Facts on facts, man. Hey, Al, thanks for the call, brother.
Hey, keep grinding, man. I just wanted to drop my word, and I was listening to your show, man. But yeah, man, everything that's going on right now is all about the presidential. It's not about building no community or helping black people or none of that. The Trump campaign needs black votes, and that's why they got all these lame black people coming out of the woodwork. Everything they said is to destroy black people. Everybody that's speaking on the Republican side that's black is only speaking on the negative as the black community. They not speaking on the growth of the community of black people. So Ice Cube should have knew better. And I feel like the community feel he was on some bullshit and flat out.
Hey, appreciate the call, man.
All right, good brother.
Yeah, that's Al Capone, man. He was, man, y'all might not believe it, man. I used to love the House of Love. That was my spot. So many good memories. Great memories in the House of Love. That was my spot. And Al Capone was one of the DJs, man. He was just, I thought the brother was super, super talented. Super talented. Me and my homies used to say that about him all the time. And I might have introduced myself back in the day. I'm sure you don't remember. It was a lot of smoke in the air and a lot of drinks that was being served. You know what I'm saying? So, man, some good nights, man. Everybody knew every word of every Tupac song. Some great days. It's Al Capone, man. That's great. Glad to hear that brother's doing well. 513-873-7134. And obviously, I agree with them. I agree that Ice Cube's a good brother. And he may have been a little bit naive about the timing of it. Again, it's the timing of it that really bothers me. If this was like post-election, okay. But come on, man. The Trump administration calls you up like, oh, we want to see your plan. Yeah, we want to see your plan. They don't give a damn about your plan, Ice. They wanted you, brother. Come on, brother. They wanted you, Ice. No, they don't give a damn about your plan. They wanted you. They wanted to be able to say that we down with Ice Cube because they know that there's a lot of black potential voters that think very highly of Ice Cube. You talk about identity politics. You talk about getting exploited. Ice Cube got exploited. And that's the reason why he used that word a couple times in that interview with Roland Martin last night. It's very clear. I mean, it happens. I ain't saying he's the worst brother in the world or anything, Al, but it happens. Nathan mentioned the fallacy of the $5 B to black in Trump's plan. The $5 billion to black in Trump's plan. Well, yeah, I mean, I could do my best with it. I think that Roland did a far better job last night of really talking about where that money goes and how it's not particularly going just to black people. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Trump's plan is one page with a whole bunch of bullet points. Ice Cube's plan is what? A couple dozen pages, I think. I mean, it just says something about the comprehensiveness and really give a F about how much you really give a F about the people that this plan is supposed to service. And then I thought it was another excellent point last night when Roland Martin was talking side by side with the Congressional Black Caucus, who was comparing some of their legislation compared to the Platinum Plan, which I still think is racist to call it the Platinum Plan for black folks, and then comparing that to Ice Cube's plan. And, you know, what we found out last night, if we didn't know, is that there's a lot of things that Ice Cube has in his plan that are very similar to or are already in play right now in terms of the Congressional Black Caucus's plan. And so for me, it's like, are we trying to recreate the wheel or are we trying to get something done? And if we're trying to get something done, then shouldn't we, I don't know, at least have some respect for what's going on? The idea of a black agenda ain't new, family. I told you this before. You got to go back to 1892 with David Walker's appeal. That was the first so-called black agenda. Followed in 1890 by the National Afro-American League six-point plan. 1965, you had Adam Clayton Powell's Black Position Papers. You had the Black Panthers, and that's where a lot of people really focus on black agendas. They'll go back to the 60s and talk about the Black Panther 10-point plan, which if you look at any of those plans, if you go back to way back to 1892, to David Walker's appeal, the so-called first black agenda, what's sad for us is that there's similarities to what they were asking for in 1892 to what we're asking for in 2020. That's sad as hell. But I think understanding that history, I think, can only make us sharper and stronger for what we're trying to do today. And then, of course, you had the Gary Convention with the National Black Convention in 1972. So though that's just a brief little bullet point history. Maybe you can Google the rest on so-called black agendas in this country. And then again, I mean, when I heard about Ice Cube's plan, I told my audience, like, that is great. I'm about that life. But let's not look over the Black Futures Lab. Let's not look over the Black PAC. Let's not look over the National Black Alliance, Economic Alliance. Let's not look over these people that's already been doing work for the last few years since the last election cycle, like we just ignorant. Let's not overlook what the Congressional Black Caucus is doing. Let's not overlook what these organizations have put in place. That's ignorant. If we serious, then we serious. It's not about whose name is on it. It's about getting it done. That's just me. Brent writes, Ice Cube found out who's the Mac. Is it he? Cleopatra Jones writes, yes, Ice Cube needs to do some homework, but you got to start somewhere. I give him props for that. The problem is that when you got to do homework and you got to start from somewhere, you don't start a national platform during an election year, 3 weeks before the election. Do your homework, start somewhere, but until you get up to speed, stay in your lane. Because you could do more damage to the movement than the good that you really intend to do. And I believe that Cube is trying to do good for our community. That's what I believe. Fast Pitch writes, Plies exposed Cube on his IG video yesterday. Did he? I didn't see it. Ron P writes, people acting like Cube just now talking about this like he just now putting this out right before the election. Well, he kind of is. I mean, by Cube's own admission, he got woke, and we already know he was woke way before that, but he got woke to working on this agenda back in May of 2020. And what I'm telling you is that there are modern day grassroots, national on some level, agendas and movements that predate him and have gone further in the process than him. And we can't just overlook that just because we like Cube. Why do I say May 2020? Because isn't that when George Floyd was killed? And that's what Cube said. He said, after George Floyd died, I got serious. Before that, I was rapping, doing the big three, and thinking that other people was out here doing the work. But after George Floyd, and again, George Floyd opened the eyes of a lot of people, man. It woke up a lot of people. That's great. That's beautiful. But you can't wake up in May of 2020 like, we need a black agenda, and then act like the work starts with you right then and there. That's ignorant. And it's ultimately, I think, self-destructive, and it's disrespectful, in my opinion, to the people that's out there already doing it. That's just my opinion about it. I ain't got to be right. Sister Iris writes, good morning, great people. Brent writes, more importantly, Ice Cube gave Trump some more informed black votes. Yes, he did. Some more misinformed black votes. Listen, before we leave this morning, I want to get your thoughts about my interview with Earl Price yesterday. What did you think of Earl Price? Did Earl Price convince you that Charmaine McGuffey is a less of a candidate than Bruce Hoffbauer? Did you agree? Do you not agree? Do you believe him? Let me give you my quick, and Earl might be watching the show, and that's fine. Well, you know, when you're doing these kind of interviews, at least for me, and it might not always appear that way, but I try to be fair. I try to be fair, but I'm biased. I'm biased against dumbish. I don't really have a lot of time and tolerance for it. And if I feel like you out here on some predatory stuff for our community in particular, it's going to come out. But what I try to do with that interview is I try to give the man as much space to clearly and succinctly and as deeply as he felt necessary to get his piece out. And I would like to think, although I've been criticized otherwise, that I give that to everybody that comes on the show. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, it makes no difference to me. You can be independent. As long as you ain't on some disrespectful stuff and you just giving your word and giving your piece, go right ahead. You know, if it's public information, go right ahead. And I thought it was important to hear from Earl because, again, I am very sensitive to, you know, the news and what happens with black voters in particular. And that Hamilton County Sheriff's race appears to be very, very close. And it appears to be it's one of the most hotly contested and most talked about races in all of Hamilton County right now. And you folks know how I feel about Bruce Hoffbauer. I let it be known yesterday, and I'll say it again. It burns me up. You know, I think less of Bruce Hoffbauer as a man. I ain't even talking about as a candidate. I'm talking about as a man. That, you know, and I put it this way, and again, I know that Earl Price didn't like it, but I'm going to put it this way because it's how I feel about it. That he and his campaign would run this black man, Earl Price, to my show when I have clearly and on many levels invited Bruce Hoffbauer to the show. Bruce Hoffbauer is the candidate. He should be answering the questions. What Earl Price thinks is a lesser issue because his name's not going to be on the ballot. And so I wanted to make sure that got out and Earl understood, and anybody in the Hoffbauer campaign who most surely was listening and watching yesterday, that they know exactly how I feel about it. That's some weak ass man-ish. You're going to run this black man to the black internet talk show host instead of you coming on and answering them questions. Weakness. I don't have no toleration for it, straight up. I think less of him as a man for that. And I know that Earl can say, well, I'm just doing this to clear my name. Maybe he's right about that. I don't know, but I'm just telling you how I feel about it. It was some weak ass black man. It's just some weak ass man-ish to me. You know, do your own dirt. Stand for yourself. You're the one who's running. You're the one that killed an unarmed black man back in the 90s and then said it was suicide by cop. So you come here to the public square and deal with it. That's how I kind of felt about it. But at the same time, since this campaign is running on black radio, I thought it was necessary for us to try to get to the bottom of it. And I think we did. I think we did yesterday. You know, Earl Price is a 6'1" black man who has been 35 years as the Hamilton County Sheriff Deputy and has risen to the rank of major. And it appeared to me, by all indication, and there were some images that came to my attention that I put out there because I wanted people to understand. I wanted to be a contrast. I wanted to have all the evidence out there for the people to make their decision for themselves. But, you know, Earl Price comes on talking about how he secretly couldn't stand Charmaine McGuffey, but the whole time you smiling and cheesing and going to the party, you got the red cup, you know, you drinking beers and all this kind of stuff. You never mentioned this. There was never really official inquiry documentation, no grievance whatsoever. And just like, you're going to pop up 16, 17 years later, 4 weeks before the election to talk about that she punched you in the jaw during an exercise, during a drill back in 2005, 2006. And that's supposed to mean what to me? I'm supposed to do what with that? You whining, complaining because she slipped your guard? Well, you better put your dukes up, buddy. Put your hands up next time. Simple as that. It's real simple. Or at the very least, do something about it in the moment. But 16 years later, you wait until 4 weeks before the election to run campaign commercials for Bruce Hoffbauer, and you bring this up? To me, honestly, I thought it made him look bad. I thought it made Earl Price look bad. Earl, you listening? I think that you did yourself personally a disservice with that. That's just my personal opinion. Like not having any, if I didn't know anything else, if I heard the ad thinking, what now? She did what? 16 years ago? Come on, black man. Rub some dirt in it, get you some icy hot or whatever the hell you got to do and move on with your life. He himself said he got over it. Well, if you got over it back in 2007, 2008, black man, why are you doing campaign commercials for her opponent talking about this incident? I would have had more respect if you left that out of the whole narrative and just talked about his personal observations, which to me, I'm not in any position to tell that man or anybody else that their personal experience is wrong. I don't have any evidence to the contrary. I can't speak to what he said he saw and experienced. That's for you to decide for yourself about whether you believe it and it has any impact in the election. What I thought was interesting is that I asked him, had he been paying attention to any of the debates? Had he been paying attention to any of the things that any of the ideas that Charmaine McGuffey had brought up in terms of what her vision for the office is? And this black man said no. This black man told me, I ain't really paid another to. I can't stand to watch her, Nate. So you don't even know what her vision is for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. You don't know whether it jives with your politics or not. Speaking of being, consistent with his politics, I asked the man a question about diversity. And did he believe that the diversity levels inside the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department were acceptable, where it needs to be? This man said unequivocally, no, Nate, as I would expect, because now we have a better understanding as to what those diversity levels are. Shout out to the NAACP and the Prince Hall Masons with their forums. I was your moderator, so I had to do the research about both the candidates. So I'm coming from a different perspective than maybe some of these other talk show hosts, because I had to get prepared as a moderator, which I take very seriously. I'm never going to put myself in a position where I look crazy. So I may have a little bit more insight about the ins and outs than a lot of people do that may have a microphone that they're in front of. All right. And it was clear to me in that debate that I moderated that there was one candidate who believes that the level of diversity in the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department is not up to par. And there was another candidate who felt as if, hey, we making progress. Huh? And it stood out to me that this brother Earl Price would side with the candidate that when it comes to the issue of diversity, which from what he told us yesterday, he's a part of hiring and all this other kind of stuff, that's on the opposite of his very own belief system. So you believe that there's a lot of work to be done in Hamilton County Sheriff's Department, and so does Charmaine McGuffey. Bruce Hoffbauer says, he said, this represents growth. Huh? The current levels represent growth? That tells me something about your mentality. So why would this brother Earl Price betray his own professional experience and insight as to what he thinks is best? Again, Earl, I just felt like you did yourself a disservice, brother. I just keep honest with you. I felt like you did yourself a disservice because there were so many inconsistencies. And it got to the point where I felt as if you opened the door for people to view your own character, in your phone call yesterday. I mean, I just asked the questions. If you're going to come on, we're going to try to get to the bottom of it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? No tears. It is what it is. Ain't got no tears for you. But I don't think you really did yourself a service, Earl. I really don't. And if I were you, before you do any other media, I would listen to that interview and I would really do better, right? Much better. Or don't say anything at all. It just wasn't a good look for you overall, in my opinion. And again, I am in no position to question what he said about his personal experiences. Some of it wasn't consistent. I mean, at some point I asked him how he felt about Bruce Hoffbauer killing an unarmed man, and he yabba dabba doed it. And then he admitted that he was in a similar situation, but he didn't kill an unarmed man. So you're in an exact situation, a similar situation, because no situations are the same. But you're in a similar circumstance as Bruce Hoffbauer, who killed a man back in the 90s. And all this stuff about, well, back in the 90s, we had less tools. Or we didn't have tasers back then, so we got to kill them. The fact that you would even say that to me is an insult. It's an insult. That man did not deserve to die at the hands of Bruce Hoffbauer. If you're mentally ill, the police are supposed to protect you, perhaps even from yourself. You got 2 grown, trained police officers, and they can't subdue one man without shooting him to death? And then I'm listening to this black man, Earl Price, yabba dabba do, and try to make excuses and talk about, well, I wasn't there, and hey, you got to do what you got to do, and back then we didn't have all the... You had these. You got hands, don't you? You had a baton. You had to kill this black man, right? Because he was exhibiting superhuman strength. Yeah, where ever heard that before? Ferguson. That's what they said. That's what the officer said when he killed the dude in Ferguson. Oh my God, he was coming at me. I felt like a child in his arms. I felt like I was in the embrace of Hulk Hogan. I mean, he literally said something like that. I mean, don't quote me verbatim. But he literally was saying things like that, to paraphrase loosely. Oh, well, he was like the ultimate warrior, and I didn't know what to do. I had to shoot this unarmed black man. That's acceptable to you? It's an insult. It's a freaking insult. That's what it is. It's a straight up insult. You talk about Black Lives Don't Matter. It's a straight up insult. They always get it wrong with us, and we'll do better. When one of our relatives is laying in the cemetery, we'll do better. We got to do training. That ain't good enough for me. I'm sorry. So it was very interesting. I mean, whew, Earl, man. And to the Bruce Hoffbauer campaign, I got no respect for you. I got no respect that you trot this black man out to the show before you come on yourself and answer the questions, and you are the candidate. You're the dude that's going to get the big shiny star and be the sheriff. Why are you trotting out this black man? It was quite interesting. We'll put it that way. It was quite interesting. Oh man, Anthony writes, Q being hoodwinked don't mean that there's a big divide in our community. Drop right. No big divide. They want it to be a divide. They want to drive a wedge between us. Ain't no big divide. Internally, we having a family conversation about our political future. Why has that got to be some big divide? There are people out there that want us to be divided. Number one is called divide and conquer. There are people out there that will benefit from us being divided. We're not divided. We just are in flux about our political future and who best is going to serve our needs. Right? Ain't no big divide. We know that both the Democrats and Republicans have not served our needs. How is there a divide? If you ask any black person, they're going to say that to you. If you poll the vast majority of black people and ask them, do you think the Democrats and Republicans have served our interests? Most black people are going to say no. So how's there a divide? There ain't no divide. Please stop. Leslie writes, drop. Nathan isn't the only one laughing at your car. I mean, drop was on one this morning. Sean writes, good morning, mighty people. Good morning to you. People going hard at him. They're going hard. Cube made that video a few months ago, so why is everyone making a big deal out of it now? That's Kiki. All Cube showed us how to be used as propaganda for the Orange 45 campaign, just like all the others used for a plot. It's amazing how people just fall in line to allow themselves to be used, like Herman Cain. You gonna die for Trump, like Herman Cain did? Clarence writes, what would he get from the Democratic Party? Jay writes, dude, need to talk. Q would get nothing but a program from the Democratic Party. That's all they give Nigwaz is a program. Shelly writes, hang up on him. Arnell writes, dude is whack. They must be talking about Trump. Crystal writes, good morning, Cyber Wakanda. Good morning to you. Jay writes, go get educated. I love that saying. Brian writes, Nathan, what's your gamer tag? It's the illest. The illest with an A. Jada writes, I think the problem is that Ice Cube, like many other blacks, is tired of not seeing results. We know that there are other black people that have been on the front lines, but it seems that not enough progress has been made or is being made to improve the condition of African Americans in America. Right. But what I was saying, you're right about that, Jada. Good morning to you. But politics is a process. This ain't no scratch off. You know, politics don't work as a scratch off where you just show up, they scratch it off, and you an instant winner. It don't work that way. It's a process. And if there's people who are further along in the process, how do you just bump them to the back of the line and you get in front of them? Because if you do that, then you're derailing progress for everybody. So even Cube's had this plan out since what? I don't know. It was after May. What's changed for black people? Nothing. But he got a plan though, right? But what's changed for black people? Nothing. Oh, but he got a plan. Just because you got a plan written on paper don't mean it gets implemented overnight. It don't work that way. I wish it did, but it doesn't work that way. It's a process. Deshauna writes, good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Philosophy writes, grand risings. Janine writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Crystal's in the house. She writes, good morning. Watching on YouTube this morning. TNT's in the house. David writes, Roland Martin's facial expression is hilarious. I thought I caught a good moment. Philosophy writes, he went all around the world with no answer. Yes, he did. David writes, the dead air is weird. You go back and watch it. Again, I ain't trying to embarrass the brother, but I mean, real is real. He got asked a straight up question like, so what did he put in their plan from your plan? And Q was like, the VC money, venture capitalist money, the VC money. Come on, brother. No. I bet you, Nuri writes, Kamala literally said, ain't about to do nothing just for black people, while Biden said immigration and LGBTQ is his number one priority. That needs to be said. Philosophy writes, Ronald Hummons, for instance. Yeah, that's right. Ronald Hummons is trying to move something in the state of House I think is very, very important as I understand it. I'm no expert on it, but as I understand it, super key in terms of raising awareness about trauma in the state of Ohio. And if I get in the story, if I got it wrong, somebody set me straight. But he said he reached out to Democrats, got no love and got no love at all statewide. Then reached out to some Republicans and they moved on it. So like I said, this idea that black people just only work with Democrats and like we's too dumb to realize you can reach out to Republican elected officials is a misnomer and it's a smear of black intelligence. That's what it is. It's a straight up smear of black intelligence. And you hear black people like Ice Cube saying it, like, we always just working with the Democrats. No, that's your tiny perception, Cube. That ain't the reality, though. Angela writes, nice breakdown, Nate. Shaking my head. Come on, Cube. Got to do better than this. Ramo writes, replying to empty words. Good morning to you, Ramo. The Democrat Party policies have kept black people poor. Empty words. They pitch a line because majority of black Americans are Democratic and don't know why they are Democratic. Well, Ramo, I mean, listen, I'm not here to defend either party because I think they're both part of the problem for our community. But what I would say is that our liberation, whether that be through social justice or economic revitalization, is in our hands. It's on us. Ain't nobody coming to save us. The Democrats are not going to come in. The cavalry is here and save us, nor is the Republican Party. We got to save us. And every black man, woman, and child, well, really every black man and woman, because it's only adults, can start today. And the way you start is by doing it in your home and doing it in your own family. That's where it starts. You know, the Democrats did this. They didn't do a damn thing to us. Now, they might have misrepresented us, but the question that we need to ask ourselves as black people is, what have we been doing? How do we treat us? How do we react with us? How do we interact with one another? What are we doing in terms of building wealth in our homes? What are we doing to make sure that we educated? That's the real question. That's not a Democrat thing. That's not a Republican thing. That's a black man and black woman thing. And as a black man, speaking of black man in particular, what are black men doing on a micro level to alleviate this situation? It's on us. Ain't about no policies per se. It's about what we do as the head of our households, the kind of fathers that we are to our children, the kind of mothers that we are to our children, the kind of partners that we are to one another, the kind of neighbors that we are to one another. That's where it starts. It starts with us. Nothing is impossible. These Democrats and Republicans could not hold us down if we, on some levels, weren't doing it to ourselves, period. It's on us. The power is within us. We got all the power. If you're a father, you got all the power in the soil that you raise your babies in. If you're a mother, you got all the power in terms of the environment that you provide for your children. That's where it starts. It's not about us. It's about the next generation and those of us who are parents and or leaders and or whatever in our community, because we're all leaders, right? It's on us. So that's why I say, on a politics side, the black community has not been given what is gotten. Look here in Cincinnati. We got a Democrat mayor, majority Democrat city council. What's been happening over the last few years? We got a Democrat mayor, majority Democrat city council, and what's up with the collaborative refresh? Why has the Citizen Complaint Authority been undermanned and underfunded? Why do they have, nearly 100 recommendations that they've put forth to change our police department, but the police department just disregards it, and we got Democrats in control? So listen, if we want to start talking about Democrats and Republicans, I'm here for that conversation. Like I keep telling you, same size of the coin on some levels, because they ain't completely the same on some levels, but in terms of the history of not coming through for us, yeah, most definitely. But the energy that transforms our community has to start with us. We can't look for the Democrats. It won't be Joe Biden. It won't be Trump. They have a role to play, and a very critical role to play, but it's got to come from us. So meanwhile, we run around here crabs in a barrel, trying to tear each other down, trying to fake compete one another, getting caught up with nonsense, complaining about stuff that don't really matter. That Willie Lynch all over again, still in play. People try to dress it up, but it's still in play. Stop me when I'm wrong. I'm just saying. That's what I see. I see it in this city as well. It's a shame, but it is what it is. TNT writes, too much truth, Nathan. That was at 8:49, almost an hour ago. Trying to catch up to your flows this morning. Janice writes, good morning. Florida family is on YouTube. Writes, good morning, Mr. Ivy. He was just put out there as another one of Orange 45's African Americans. Jericho writes, how stupid do people think black people are? We know that these politicians are doing. We know what these politicians are doing. Those voters who are falling for the okie doke were going to vote for Trump anyway. Cube did the same as those black preachers that met with Trump. In terms of the overall impact, I think the Cube had I think a lot of those so-called preachers was in it for the photo op, trying to run back to their congregation like, oh, I'm a big man now, right? Look at me. I took a photograph with Trump. I was one of his black preachers for Trump, right? So it's trying to use it for their own personal gain. I think the Cube was just naive. This country don't suffer food lightly. Nobody care if you're naive. You naive, you're going to get played in this world. And I think that's what happened. But in terms of the overall impact, you're right. Brian writes, I knew Ken was going to say something that reflected him is not listening to what you just said. You said it 4 times. I know, Brian. I know. Cam called in and tried to tell me why not bring something up that I brought up already on the show. But again, Cam is a good brother. We can always agree to disagree. Philosophy writes, then let us be powerfully thinking and let's all meet together. Anybody who knows me will tell you I'm 100% about collaboration, 100% about it, when it makes sense. I will speak with anybody and talk with almost in half about things that are in line with what I'm doing. Now, that doesn't mean that you're always going to get a call back or that people will respond favorably. But in terms of where my heart and my actions are, in terms of what I do and how I move, I'm 100% about that. And will continue to be, you know, on whatever it is. Anthony writes, why let yourself be knowingly exploited? Right. Cube was saying that because, as all men and people, nobody wants to look dumb, especially not on, virtual TV on the Roland Martin show. He's got a big audience. Nobody wants to look dumb. And I think it was evident to Cube. You go back and watch that interview, you can see it on his face. It becomes evident to Cube like, oh, well, I got played. And so what a lot of people are doing, you've seen this in your personal life, is they'll just put it out there so other people can't say it. I knew the party was going to play me, but I decided to go right ahead and let myself be played by Trump anyway. Like, who really does that? What I think is that I don't think the Cube thought it all the way through. I think, he was well-intentioned, good intention, care about the community. I think that when you create something, sometimes you become desperate to get a phone call back. Like you take the time to build a black agenda. When politicians call you back, you like, yeah, we on the phone. We about to make some progress, right? I get it. I don't fault them. I get it. But I think that it's an election year, Q. We 3 weeks out, man. The smarter move would have been, let's wait until after the election. And now, why do I say that's a smarter move? The smarter move is because 3 weeks before this election, the Trump campaign does not have the time or the resources to properly review and to implement any of your ideas. And until they do both, and most importantly, the latter, implementation, we don't get nothing out of it. So why would you give them a media opportunity and they ain't giving you nothing? And I think Q will probably be somewhere today or tomorrow. He'll hear all these stuff, probably not this show, but other shows. And he'll be like, yeah, you're right. I should have rethought that. And that's okay. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, this is Cam. I was calling back in. Hey, nobody else was calling. Line wasn't busy. So,
hey, Cam. Cam,
what's going on?
Hey, Cam, I appreciate you, brother. But I don't really want to do the double dip thing because then I got to let everybody double dip, brother. But I appreciate you, though, man. I really do. I don't want to double dip because now the show becomes about what you talked about before. No, I don't want to do that. You get one shot a day unless something happens to your phone line. I did not hang up on you. I just I want you to call back, on Monday, Kim. I got nothing but respect for you, brother. But I don't want to do the double dip thing. I don't care who it is, unless it's something that's uber important. And I can't even remember I can't even think about that situation. Like you might be an elected official or something, and maybe there's some breaking news or something like that that's really super irrelevant, and you got to give us an update because maybe you gave us some wrong information earlier. But we already had our conversation. I respect you, brother. I'm not going to spin on here and run you down or anything like that. I don't need to. But I respect what you have to say. But I really don't want to do the double dip thing because to me, I try to be fair. And and I've done it before and I didn't like it. So I've done it before and I listen back to the show. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to make the show about what somebody thinks and I don't want to do that. I want to keep the show going in a straight line, whether we have phone calls in or not. So hopefully you respect that, brother. No disrespect whatsoever. Brandy writes, good morning. Let me see here. David writes, O'Shea Jackson should have contacted Steve Harvey and develop a plan to control the narrative. Could be. TNT writes, but he didn't understand and even find his plan in a Trump plan for Black America. Make it make sense. Roland showed him what some of the language really meant. Roland did. And again, from what I read and what I saw last night, Roland wasn't trying to be nasty with him. He wasn't trying to pull him out there like, brother, you're looking like a fool. I think that Roland, from what I saw, was in a learning sort of mode and was trying to stick to the facts and, was trying to maintain a good relationship with Cube. Again, Eric, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. If I say something that's wrong and you call me in, I'm going to have to eat it like, you right, bro. It is what it is. And move on. Nobody is perfect. I'm not looking for Ice Cube to be perfect, but I am looking for you to be smart. You got to be smart in these pre-election days. You got to be smart. You can't be giving either of the parties ammunition that would impact Black votes before we get equity policy intangibles. Now, if the Trump administration was delivering tangibles, and I'm not even sure how they might do that 3 weeks before the election, I might look at it differently. Like, oh, Cube then went up to the mountain and came back with some gold. Cool. Look at Cube. Look at Cube. But that's not really what happened. Cube went up to the mountain, came back with not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Danita writes, Biden can't do anything until he wins. Right. TNT writes, you can't create your own facts. Absolutely. David writes, you are drowning your own self out. Brian writes, can't properly discuss on this format. David writes, Nate, this must be when I was talking with Cam. Cam was a little bit encourageable on that. Cam, do not shut up and let Nathan finish his point before he speaks. It's not disrespectful. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Somebody writes, bye-bye, Cam. Nah, we had the conversation. We got to a cooler place, but I could tell that Cam was really, he feels his point. I get it. My issue is just making sure people can hear one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be dropping the greatest flows ever, but if I'm talking and you talking underneath me, nobody's going to hear it and vice versa. So that's my issue. My interest is making sure you can hear everything clearly and succinctly. It sounds like, here we go around in circles. Brian writes, just because someone knows they will be exploited doesn't negate the fact that they were exploited. Right. That's what I was trying to tell Cam. I'm like, so he knowingly exploited himself. Okay. He still exploited himself. What's the difference? TNT writes, Cam sounds confused. You stretching, brother. Janice writes, for Trump's campaign, Ice Cube's plan is like your car running out of gas in the scorching hot desert, and someone arrives just in time with a tank full of gas and a glass full of cold water. Right. But here you go, Trump. And Trump has done nothing for us. In fact, he's worked against the policies. So, for instance, the Congressional Black Caucus, and Roland Martin put this on the show last night, has all these ideas that'll benefit Black America. And you know what they are? They got passed through the House. You know what they are? The Democrat-controlled House. They got passed. You know what they are? They're dying in the Senate that's controlled by the Republicans, but that might change. I was watching some interesting television from CNN over the last 24 hours, and the projections for the Senate majority, let's just say they're fluctuating, they're changing. You know, Trump's influence on a lot of different levels in terms of his handling of the coronavirus, him getting the coronavirus. Last night, I didn't watch either of the two town halls. I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch either of them. But I did see some clips here or there. And I do know that Trump's getting a lot of press because last night, he finally came out and disavowed white supremacy. Why is that? Why did he do that? He did it because it's impacting what people are saying they're going to do in the vote. White people have had a problem with Donald Trump not coming out and straight up disavowing white supremacy. When he starts doing that yabba dabba doo, but there's good people on both sides, he loses white votes too. He's losing white votes. And because it's a presidential year, the image, the favorability of the president is going to have a real impact on all of the other down the ballot races. That means senator. That means all the races. That's why these Republicans are running around trotting out Earl Price, and they got Pac-Man Jones and Frosty Rucker running out here stumping for Joe Dieters. They run around here grasping for straws. This morning I'm reading they're making a big deal out of something that Jessica Miranda said, and she was completely correct in saying it. Jessica Miranda said essentially that Blue Lives Matter is like a made-up thing, and she's absolutely right about that. And apparently the local Republicans, the statewide Republicans, want to make a big deal about it. Why? Because they are grasping for straws. Because Trump is at the top of the ticket, and he is a terrible candidate, and he's threatening to change the balance of power inside the U.S. Senate. Yeah. And what I would say is, based upon what I've seen so far, if the Democrats get control, they need to be gangster with that control and put the plans in place, run over their ass the same way they did you, period. The same way they did you with Merrick Garland, do them the same way. That's what I would do. I ain't got no tears for you. Oh, turnabout is fair play where we live at. My daddy used to tell me always, if you just shut up and listen, you might learn something. Hashtag message. Jay writes, man, for the guy who said he wasn't going to make this long, it's still going. Craig writes, dude, it's reaching. Arnell writes, hang up, please. I'm not above hanging up on somebody, but I want to hear the conversation. Janice writes, enough already. Letty writes, shut Cam off. He is way too overbearing, sound insulting to ask to define a word. Well, I like to let people talk. L writes, please end it. Thanks. Y'all wrong, man. Rachel writes, was Cam trained by Drop? Oh, man. Nathan Ivey, I think he's trying to say that he feels Biden will only talk to Cube if they win, meaning if he votes for him or have other votes for him. Well, to be quite frankly with you, Jay, that makes sense. Because if Biden loses, he's not in a position to talk to anybody. Biden is a former vice president. He's not in the U.S. Senate right now. So if he loses, what's the use of negotiating with a private citizen? You know what I'm saying? I mean, some of this just, if you think about it logically, it just makes perfect sense, but I get it. David writes, probably can guess who Cam is voting for. JC writes, I'm on the top of exploitation. Did Biden's campaign slap Ice Cube's name all over the emails and social media? Because I didn't see any. All I saw was Trump, 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 right? Oh, no, Biden's trying to exploit him. Well, why didn't they exploit him the way Trump is? I could go on for days and days, but I will not. It's going to be a busy day today. Of course, you got the Is It Just Me podcast. You can watch it live on Send Digital Media on Facebook later on today, family. I really appreciate you. And have a blessed and hopefully restful weekend. You know what I'm saying? I know we got into it this morning, but that's the nature of the beast. It comes with the territory. All right. Thank you in advance. Really appreciate you. All right. To all the choppers, thank you so much. To my patrons, thank you so much. To Team and I appreciate your support. If you are a new listener or subscriber, or let's say you're a new viewer, whether you're on Facebook, you can subscribe to the video on Send Digital Media. If you're on YouTube, of course, you can hit the bell notification, turn on all notifications. That way you'll get notified whenever I go live. Have an excellent rest of your day, family. I got to make a move. And you know our motto. Winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. I'm out. I'm still here, family. Anthony writes, thought you were a Queen Anne's kind of guy, Nate. I've never been to Queen Anne's, I don't believe, but I did spend some time in the back of the club at the House of Love.